Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are here, we are here, we are live and in person. Views from the 22, the scene presented by Views from the 22. Thursday night, we got, we got a good one tonight. We have a very good one tonight. One that's going a game prime for some great football, a game prime for some great football conversation, and a game that is filled with opportunities for heel activity. And it is for these reasons that we have the handsome gentleman that you want to see on your TV screen or your phone, wherever you watch it at the moment. And we're going to start with the Godfather, with the standard of heelism. J Ham, talk to the people.
When I appear on the scene and I see my man Cat Fives on the scene, and he just as big of a heel as I am, I have to step my game up a bit, or I have to give way and give the floor to my guy because it's his time to shine. They just won their first playoff game in what, over 30 years last year?
Mm-hmm.
And they took it all away, and they were what, a possession away from being on stage with the confetti falling and the Lombardi being hoisted. I got to give way to my guy, man. Heel activity, Cat 5, Josh Storms in the building, switching over to my man. What's good, man? Since WKRP is in the house.
Man, I'm not going to lie. I am highly surprised you didn't put WKRP on your background before we went live. I fully expected that too. Man, if y'all watch The Dish, you know I am a man of few words in the intro. I'm just happy to be here and to talk some Bengals. So let's roll.
Yeah. Pre-show, you are like Marshawn Lynch. I hear you. Vic Jr. is in the building. Vic, I know you get excited when we talk about young quarterbacks, and so you should be excited tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy because we got one guy in the Bengals side that we rated as one of the best quarterbacks we've seen coming out of college, and then we have another guy who had a almost as equal as a successful career, if not better, right, in college, who we didn't necessarily like coming in, but he so far, and again, we got to give credit when credit is due.
Facts.
So far, it's looking good. Got some things he still got to fix. It's a long season. He took a nice pounding last week in week 3. Pause. But we'll see what he got towards the end of the season. See if he's able to keep up with the elites. Shout out to Tua. Shout out to Alabama. Shout out to the First Lady who's always representing. She should be around here soon.
Now, so far we have a peaceful Jeremy So True on the line. However, I got a funky feeling at some point he will disturb the peace this evening. I don't know. He's probably listening to Mozart or something. Like you think you're listening to something that's gonna get him hyped. He's probably listening to Mozart or something right now. Jeremy, and if I'm calling him Jeremy, that means I can feel his energy. So I know he's in his let me disturb the peace mode. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm just real fast. I see you doing this. I'm picturing Willem Dafoe on Boondock Saints.
Oh Lord, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Oh, sorry. With that being said, y'all, hey man, True Man False World, Portland Live. Yo. Hey man, I'm excited for this game. Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was supposed to actually be at the game with our guy Ty, but I couldn't swing it at the last second due to some work obligations. But I'm telling y'all, man, this is a game that should be a good one. Yeah, I'm on heel activity tonight too, because we're gonna talk about a couple things. But my lab key is working, y'all.
Aha. Hey man, that lab key, and once again, people without authority try to tell us that it doesn't work. Well, it still works just fine. Matter of fact, we've upgraded certain standards to enter with your lab key. fellas, let's talk about some things. Number one, just sending a shout out and a prayer to everybody in Florida and everybody in the Caribbean waters. I know me and Vic got family down there. I think Jay does as well. I know a lot of us got friends and family and you name it down there. So I know Les is down there. Bruce is down there. Danique was down there. Who else is down there? There's a lot of people down there. So you got anybody down there? Hurricanes are, at the very least, unpredictable, no matter what you think you may know about it. They are very unpredictable. And when you inside of a hurricane, you got nowhere to go, bro. So I know what most of those people is going through right now. So we just sending prayers out to you.
Specifically
on the football. Yeah, go ahead.
My bad. No, just I have family in Fort Myers who got hit really hard.
Okay.
About 5 or 6 houses we have out there. One of them did get lost, flooded to the top of the house. And that happens to be the house where everybody gets together. Okay, it's one of the older aunts of the family and stuff like that. Everybody gets together there. Unfortunately, she's losing her house, but everybody else, they were able to leave anyway. They left. They decided that leaving was the best option. So thank God they all did that.
Yes.
But most of them will be able to go back to their homes in Fort Myers and in Cape Coral, the family there too as well. Got family all up and down Florida. So yeah, we got a lot of phone calls in and out, checking in on everybody. But thank God everybody decided to head up north or head up east a little bit. So, but yeah, shout out to those folks out there, praying for them.
No, most definitely. Fellas, let's talk about tonight's game. You got the 3-0 Miami Dolphins versus the 1-2 Cincinnati Bengals, much to Josh's displeasure, but they are 1-2. They beat the Jets last week. Hopefully, it's a trend in the right direction to get this team back on track. Maybe. We'll see. Tua Tagovailoa might have something to say about that. Over-under in this game is 49. Take the over. And the Bengals, surprisingly, are -4 in this game. So they are the favorites in this game. Fellas, let's just go around the horn. What are you looking for tonight's game? Vic, we could start with you. We see Miami's playing much better. Matter of fact, Miami is, I think, like on a 11-1 or 12-1. They haven't lost much in their last 12, 13 games. They've arguably just been a team on fire. We know that's led by Tua because a team will go as the quarterback goes. We talk about it a lot. So just give us your early assessment here on what's going on in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where we always knew that this was a good roster, right? They got a good core. They got good pieces defensively, some pieces offensively. There was some things in the trenches they needed to fix. But we got a situation here. If you look at their 3 wins, the Dolphins did it with defense. Okay, week 1 they held the Patriots to 7 points. Week 3 they held the Bills high octane offense to 19 points. All right, then you have a situation in week 2 where they outscored the Ravens 42-38. You know what I mean? So they've been doing it with basically fighting defensively, offensively, whatever it is. The Dolphins have been able to do it. You got Tua second in passing yards, okay, third in passing touchdowns. So, he's playing his part so far. Again, it's a long season. He has a lot more to show, but it's going to be very interesting. This game is going to be telling because, again, he got hurt on Sunday. He was questionable for this game, but he will play. And it's a Thursday game. You guys know how I feel about these Thursday games. Unfortunately, they're saving the best matchups for these Thursday games, but it's the NFL. It is what it is. So, we have to take it, and hopefully we get a good game here. The Bengals, so far, their best game was last week against the Jets. It is the Jets, but hey, if it's a way to kickstart, a streak of winning games, I mean, so be it. It's still football. They scored 27 points last week. Joe Burrow had his most efficient game, 275 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Everybody was involved. The running game does need to get a little kickstart themselves, but I expect this game to be very good. It's going to be in Cincinnati with good weather. So I expect this game to be very, very solid from the beginning to end.
Jerm, before we go to Josh, I just want to take it to you a little bit on the flip side. Cincinnati, I mean, obviously, when you get to the Super Bowl, you know, you still have some sort of target on your back the next year, be it by the media or by the rest of the league. Cincinnati certainly last year showed, hey, with who we have, we can get here. And if you can get there, you can win it. It's one game. So is it fair or unfair? I don't want to say panic, but the sort of, oh, well, maybe they were a fluke, or, oh, what's wrong in Cincinnati? The criticism early on with the Bengals offense and their offensive line in particular.
Well, I think it's unfair, but I think it's unfair for three reasons, and I'll make it really, really quick. Reason number one, offensive line is one of those situations. The offensive line takes the longest probably of any position group to gel, and because it's 5 men that have to come together and synchronize every movement, everything that they do, and understand what each guy next to them or on either side of them, sometimes centers, guards, whatever, what everybody does well. And I think that's the biggest problem right now for the Bengals, is they're trying to figure out how La'el Collins, who was a big free agent acquisition for them, how he can be a protector for our guy, Mr. Burrow here. The problem here is, and this is the problem with this first thing, I think Collins is a little bit more of a guard prospect. Me and Vic talk about this every year. I think La'el Collins, I think he would have been an all-pro left guard. I never think right tackle is too much on the island, and I think that's a guy who needs a little bit more assistance than other people, and rightfully so. I mean, it's not a tackle as an island position. Both sides are island positions, but especially when you play tackle, it is an island more position than in any other position on the offensive line. The second thing is, I'm just going to be real. I think it's a young team. You have a third-year quarterback. Pretty much all your skill position players that you have that are of value are in their 4th year at the best. Well, when I'm speaking of Joe Mixon as the veteran guy of the playmakers that they have. I mean, of course, they got the slot guy, not Higgins.
Boyd.
Of course, Boyd's been around, but Boyd is not the best receiver in that room. The best receiver in that room is Odell Landry. And he is the best receiver in that room for a variety of reasons, but we'll talk about that another time. But you're still kind of getting a lot of things, a lot of bad habits that young players tend to have. Some things that they did last week that they didn't do in the previous 2 weeks, turning the football over, which leads to my third reason. You can't have 15 sacks in 3 games, and majority of those 15 sacks are in the first 2 games in which you lost. You're losing games because you're not protecting your quarterback, and then your quarterback in turn is being hit so much that he's turning the ball over. Some of these is on Joe, but some of this is on the protection. It has to be better. It has to get better. If you don't protect your number one asset, which is your quarterback, you're not going to be able to do too much of anything else. You got to do better. So those are my 3 keys. It's unfair. Yes, it is completely, because the Bengals still did just win that division last year. And this is the division, this AFC North, that could come down to what? The last couple of weeks of the season, because every team has a good enough team to be able to compete. Say what you want to say about the Steelers, but they do have the best head coach in the division. And whether you like it or not, the Steelers still ultimately will have something to say, because they may upset every one of these teams at least once. So that's what I got for you.
No, I mean, that's a great point. Josh, we're going to go to you, and then we're going to bring it back to the Godfather. But Josh, early on, just from your, you know this team better than anybody. What do you think has been the biggest uphill climb offensively? Because the focus is really on the offense, because we know that defense really is only going to be called upon to make crucial plays in crucial times, because they expect the engine to be Joe Burrow in this offense. So is it third down? Is it red zone? Is it communication? Is it just as simple as the offensive line isn't protecting well enough? What have you seen early on?
I really think Germ hit it on the head as far as the offensive line being the unit that takes the longest to gel. These 5 guys didn't play a single snap together before week 1. and they didn't have Burrow in there taking snaps with them until the last week of preseason. So I don't think it's not even close time to hit the panic button. We started off slow last year, and look where we got. And regardless of the early struggles, this year's offensive line is 10 times better than last year's personnel. So I'm not even close to worried yet. I really think that's most of it. I have been kind of questioning some of Zach Taylor's play calling. Go ahead.
No, finish that because that's where I was going to go next. So finish that.
Okay. I just feel like I wonder if he is being a little overprotective of Joe and not, it doesn't seem like they've really opened up the playbook in the first 3 weeks very much.
So last year, I wasn't the highest. I don't know if Jay is in here or not, but last year, I wasn't the highest on Zach Taylor. And to me, my thoughts early on both these teams real quick. Number one was Cincinnati. I think there is genuine reason for concern in Cincinnati. I do think they're going to be okay. I do think they're going to win some games. I also think they might even sneak into the playoffs. I'm not joking here. So what am I saying, right? Football maturity is what it always will come down to most of the time. 60% of the time, it works every time. Football maturity is where this team is going to be revealed. Will they mature? Will they understand that in the NFL, once you get to this level, you got to work twice as hard just to get a little better? So are they going to realize that? I do think the sophomore slump is not a myth. It's just over the last few years, the sophomore slump has come in year 4 and 5 and 6 when teams are now adjusting and figuring out, because there's really, you look across the board, we have never seen so many different unique quarterbacks. Like all these quarterbacks are unique in their own way. Has there really been a Joe Burrow type? Not really. There's a couple here and there. Has there really been a Tua? I'm not going to even pretend to say his last name because I haven't gotten it down yet.
Tagovailoa.
Not really, with the exception of maybe Steve Young. But Tua obviously is a lot more athletic, and that's where a lot of these new guys separate themselves. So the sophomore slump, nobody is exempt from hitting a professional wall. Nobody.
Right.
So for Joey Burrow, is this going to be the year he starts hitting that wall? And is it going to fall back on that head coach who maybe is not quite what he is? Anybody can do it for 1 year. If you really want to be great in this league, it's all about consistency. If you don't have consistency, you can't even come to the table and talk about how qualified or how good or how great you are. Now, on the flip side for Tua, there has been steady growth and steady evolution and a steady willingness to be better and get better. And Jay, we always talk about it, man. The beauty about the lab is there's always room to grow. There's always room to evolve. Is he here? I can't tell if he's here or not.
I think
he here.
He was. Real quick.
Jay having some difficulties right now with his Wi-Fi, but if Vic and Jerm jump in there.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, like last year, what was it, first or second in sacks given up and pressures by that offensive line? So can you get through another year with that kind of production from your offensive line and get to another playoff run and even a Super Bowl like that? That's a lot to ask from a quarterback and a young receiving core that he has. You know what I mean? So they have to get that offensive line right. And Zach Taylor they have to run the football more. I think they have to get physical. I think that offensive linemen a lot of times prefer to move forward. Okay, the run game in the NFL has become practically extinct. Okay, and you have a very, very talented running back in Joe Mixon, and even a backup in Samaje P. Ryan, that they can get very physical with teams that they want to and kind of help Joe Burrow out. So I think that's something that they really have to emphasize, and they should start that this week against the Dolphins, because that secondary was absolutely outstanding against the Bills last week. Okay, they contained the Bills offense on Sunday. So I would definitely hope that Cincinnati is kind of considering running the ball a little bit more today.
Absolutely. Jeremy, anything you want to add?
I'm gonna say this, man. Vic, and we talk about this every week. Vic, we talk about so much stuff like behind the scenes, like just about how the game is just not played the correct way, especially from the trenches back to the quarterback. I don't like the state of the NFL in two ways right now. First thing, I don't like the defensive principles of safeties and letting balls get over their head. That's another thing. But we're gonna talk about that. The safety play has been atrocious. And when I say it's been atrocious, it's been way too many big plays, in my opinion. The second thing is when it comes down to the trenches, man, for me, I'm going to keep it 100% honest with y'all and why I'm so pissed off about this type of things. When you got these quarterbacks, I don't give a damn how good the quarterback is at the end of the day. The running game is there to help the quarterback. If you're not helping your quarterback, you're hurting your quarterback. So if you're not running the ball at least 20 times a game and giving your quarterback a piece of complimentary football that is necessary to win Super Bowls, then you are at the end of the day saying that you do not want to win. You have to be able to run at some stage, at least to be able to give something to the defense that resembles some type of physicality. The passing game has nothing to do with being physical. The passing game has nothing to do with anything that regards any type of stage of dominance. The passing game is glamour and glitz. Those are the bright lights. Those are the big plays, all that's great. But it's the small details, the physicality of the game that get us to where we are able to win in the trenches. There has been a stat that has been out here for a while. A team that does not average at least 4 yards a carry on inside runs does not get to the Super Bowl in the first place. If you can't get 4 yards a carry on an inside trap play, on a slam or on a dive, you do not get to the Super Bowl. It just does not happen often. So you have to make sure that you're able to do those things in order for you to get to the other side of the season, which is the playoffs. Joe Burrow is the exception to a lot of rules, but Joe Burrow also is still a young quarterback. Joe Burrow also still had his trigger happy and in a hurry to let them hammers go. Meaning in a lot of different ways, you can speed up his clock. Okay? But speeding up his clock means what? Hitting him, getting him on the ground. Speeding up his clock means putting a little bit more pressure, throwing in an extra rusher. You can make this guy throw the ball before he wants to throw the ball right now. He hasn't reached that level of cool that you need from him to be at the elite level, which is the top 5 quarterbacks in the world. He hasn't reached that stage yet. He has to learn how to stay down until he can come up. He has to learn that. That's something he has to learn. Even more so than his counterpart, Tua. Tua has endured a lot more in his college career than people will ever give him credit for. And that's something that is a lot of why he's been successful so far this year. This year, we have seen a lot of good things from him, and rightfully so, but I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Let's relax just a little bit. Let's give us some time here. Let's see what the season is how the season plays out. Let's see how people adjust to this team, because the Dolphins defensively, we know what they are. They have a lot of talent. They're well coached. They execute very well, but most importantly, they get after it. But the problem on this offense is going to be, we've seen New England contain them and get them to 20 points. That means we're trying to limit all big plays. Any game that you have the volume of Waddle and Tyreek Hill having 11 and 12 catches, and they're not over 100 yards, they're in 80 yards, you're doing a hell of a job containing that offense.
Right. Yeah.
And you need to understand that you want to limit the big plays with all of the speed that they have. So now that we know these things, let's start focusing on the things that matter. Let's stop giving all of the BS takes about all of the deep passes and all the rest of that other nonsense. Who cares? The deep passes are only a part of the offense. A deep pass in the NFL is marked as a pass that is over 15 or 20 yards. So just because you have a great rating of throwing a ball 20 yards in the air does not mean you're throwing deep necessarily, unless you're throwing 50, 60 yards in the air. Those are the plays that y'all are making it seem like these are, and they are not those plays.
So before I take it to the next, Josh, anything you want to chime in here before I move on?
No.
So something I kind of want to talk about real quick. Well, you know what? Let's go to the comments first. So we got a comment here from Hog Wild Devil Dog. So do y'all think the Bengals front office the Bengals front office's off-season offensive line acquisitions really changed anything, or is it more or less just the same, or do they just need more time together to gel? Jerry responded, shout out to Jerry, the homie. He says, they'll pull together. This week is really a test for me. It shouldn't take 8 weeks. So here's what I'm going to just address those two things real quick for Hogwild. I think that's what the fellas here are saying. I think that's what I'm saying, what we're all saying, is that offensive line is continuity is everything when it comes to offensive line play. You just on a whole different level when you understand how the guy next to you wants to attack whatever gap, whatever leverage, whatever the guy lined up across from him. When you understand how he wants to attack it, and you know how to attack it, and the guy next to you knows how to attack it, and the guy next to him knows how, it just one band, one sound. An offensive line in sync is a beautiful harmony. And you know, it just is, man. I'm telling you, it's just a weird little small fraternity that just move as one. And Jerry says it shouldn't take 8 weeks. I have seen it take 16 weeks. I have seen it take 2.5 full seasons, 40 games, 40 nights. I have seen it. It is hard to get that right offensive line together and make it gel. But as a singular unit, just one singular starting rotation, I have seen it take 16 games. And then they got to the playoffs and they got rocking. I can't remember which team it was. I don't know. Was it the Steelers? I can't. I just remember it happening. Maybe the Giants. I can't remember. But that's where that goes. Dion now asks, and I know this is where Jerm wants to cook. What individual matchups do y'all like tonight? And Jerm, we're gonna go to you, and I got a feeling you might go with the perimeter.
I was gonna add to that too whenever he's done.
Okay, you know what? Okay.
No, Vic, go ahead, add to that. Yeah, and then after you add, I'll add, and then I'll go to the matchup.
Yeah, that's why I asked him if it was a fantasy question because they like to use Xavier Howard to shadow coverage real quick. So you might see a situation where he will be on Odell Landry. So if it becomes a game where they're gonna throw a lot, which most likely it might be, T. Higgins would be a good matchup, but a good start for fantasy purposes. But go ahead, Jerry.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. And just to piggyback off of something and just to answer that question, I think it's gonna take time. But me and Vic talked about this before. Jonah Williams is the left tackle. Lionel Collins is the right tackle. Those two guys are guards. Ted Karras is a center who can play some guard. You look at those guys. If you put those three guys on the interior, if you found better guys on the outside, that offensive line would be one of the best in the world. Jonah Williams is a very, very good player when he is moving forward, and so is Lionel Collins. So I don't understand why you talk about getting those two guys in space in screen games and different things, and that's another part of why I don't like Zach Taylor. Where's the screen game? Where's the screen game? You got all these athletes. Where's the screens? Get some of these big guys in front of these guys and let these guys make people feel them. That's an extension of your running game. Is the screen game. And you can throw screens to wide receivers too.
I mean, we saw what Lyle could do when he played guard with the Cowboys. He was lined up right there with Tyrone Smith on the left side, and we see him pull and blow some cats up, Jerm. You know what I mean? So I know he went to the Cowboys front office and the coaching staff and begged his way to the right tackle spot because he know he can play it and he wanted to get paid more money. But how are you making the team better? By playing guard, because you are a guard. Okay, we got Evan Neal is the same situation for the Giants. That's a whole different subject we can say for the a Giants discussion. Should be playing guard as well right now. You know what I mean? So again, we look at Bill with the left tackle. I forget his name. Should be playing
Isaiah
guard.
Wynn. They got him on a trade block. Like, bro, it's not his fault. Why y'all trading him? Yeah, that's a good player.
And I'm not getting paid to be no damn coach in the NFL. You know what I mean? But
I just want to say some of this is just being stubborn, because if you draft a player on the offensive line, you got 4 to 5 years to figure out what position he plays the best for your football team.
Yep.
Period. Point blank. Stop being the way that you are with this. Going right to my matchup, I want to see whoever Xavier Howard is guarding, because I just love Xavier Howard as a football player. I think he is one of the most underrated coverage players that we have ever seen in this game. He is exceptionally smart, but most importantly, Xavier Howard can cover any receiver, no matter big, tall, small, fast, slow, whatever. He is one of the top 3 players at the position. There is no question about it. He deserves every dime that he gets. I just want y'all to know, make Xavier Howard a part of your conversation with Jalen Ramsey and Stephon Gilmore, please, because he's just as good as both of those players. He may be better in certain ways because he has the elite short area quickness. He might be the best in short area quickness at the position since Chris Harris. And Mo, that's high praise. Short area quickness, the way he flips his hips, the way he moves, the way he is able to read and diagnose. If Xavier Howard works on those hands and gets to catching, he probably have 2 or 3 interceptions already this year and have a couple house calls. I'm just letting y'all know he's that good.
Yeah, that's gonna be the matchup, man. Because if he shadows Odell Landry, baby Odell or whatever you want to call him these days, like it's gonna be a fun matchup right there.
No doubt.
And
no doubt.
Lastly,
but I don't think anybody's here to see Tyreek Hill versus Eli Apple. I'll say that much. Go ahead,
no, nobody. And I'm gonna say this: the matchups that I'm looking forward to tonight. Also, I am looking forward to seeing Trey Hendrickson versus Armstead tonight. Hendrickson is first of all, I told Vic, I said, Vic, I don't know if he's the elite pass rusher, but one thing he has is an elite motor. He's a technician. And you're talking about a guy who does everything that Joey Bosa does, everything that guy does, but he may be more explosive.
Injured, out for the season, in case anybody didn't know.
Who?
Who?
Oh,
who? Joey. Oh, you scared me for a second. Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but I think that's why they went out and got Khalil Mack. And I think there is after the 3rd year, there's a get out for the Chargers. I do believe, but I'll double check that.
Anyway, you guys go ahead. Well, I don't want to interrupt what you're gonna say, but you got something else you want to talk about? We got 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes. I just kind of want to go around the horn. Josh, give us your final thoughts or a particular matchup that you think is vital and or an X factor, and give me your score, baby.
Excuse me. I don't particularly want to see this because I'm a Bengals fan, but Miami needs to run the ball. DJ Reader just went out in the first half of the Jets game. He's out for 6 weeks with an MCL sprain. In 2020, we had one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. He came back last year, and we were top 5 in that category, I believe.
Yup. And he's a big reason why.
Mm-hmm. And so I can't remember his name, but there's we got a rookie is the guy behind him is going to get a lot of time tonight. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I was gonna highlight Hendrickson as well, and then the other one, or no, that's all I had. So I got. So we doing score predictions now?
Yeah, give me a score, bro.
Oh, give me 31-23, good guys.
31. Okay. All right. Vic?
I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this game just simply because I want to see them get it together.
I hear you.
I do not want to see a situation where they show up in a Super Bowl and then the next year they're not even a playoff team. Absolutely not. Do not want to see that. I don't think it will happen. So I hope it starts this week, where they're able to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, get 2 wins in a row. Germ.
I'm gonna roll with the Bengals tonight because I think the Bengals need the game the most. And I think 1-3 for the Bengals, even though it doesn't end their season, is a little bit more of an uphill battle considering the division that they play in. The Dolphins escaped last week. Let's just call it what we need to call it. And that's really all I got for this week. For now, because we got the Sunday show. Well, we're gonna go crazy Sunday.
Yes, we got a
Because
lot on Sunday.
Mo, I need you to make sure you bring up this Joey Bosa thing again because we're going to talk about that.
Bet. What's your scoring, Germ?
Give me the Bengals. You know what? I want to shoot out tonight. Give me 37-34.
Damn.
Bengals.
Oh, so
I want to shoot out tonight.
I am a believer in the NFL in that each season in its own mantra. I believe in that. And so just yesterday's price is not today's price. And I will elaborate on that later. I do think the Bengals are going to have a bit of an up and down year. And I think the Dolphins are going to be one of the hottest teams in the league for this season. So give me Steve Young Jr. in the Miami Dolphins. I want to see a shootout myself. I want to see a good game. 33-27, Miami. Vic Jr., Category 5 Storms. Shout out to everybody dealing with Category 5s at the moment. Germ So True, Mo Schefter. We will see you Sunday. But tomorrow night, make sure you are locked in. Same channel, 9:30 Eastern. You will see Josh. You will see the rest of the Dish crew, including Jorge and Ty and whoever else chooses to come on. They got a special playoff show. And then we will see you Sunday morning for views and views. Take us home, True.
22. Enjoy the game. See you Sunday.